Well, I have a small injury. Can you see it? Yeah. That's from a rubber hose. That's a burn, and I got a little bit of a burn. How do I show my camera? Right here. That's a rubber hose. Um, my wife kept saying, "Oh, it smells weird out here. It smells like somebody's cooking something weird." I said, "Okay." So I go to the back of my house and I'm looking, and I see the neighbor adjacent in the back, connecting back adjacent, and the fence is lit. I said, "That's not normal." So I jump out there and I run out there and I start going towards his house, hopping over fence lines and whatever else. Ugh. I've got a little bit of exposure to smoke. But anyway, so I ran and I was screaming, "Hey!" He's got two Rottweilers. I've heard the barking before, but now I know the Rottweilers. And I started screaming, "Hey! Hey! Fence is on fire!" No response. "Hey!" So I opened the front door to his house. "Hey!" He goes, "Oh!" I said, "Your fence is on fire!" He goes, "Oh!" Didn't understand what he said. I said, "I'm coming in!" Because I couldn't figure out a way to get to his backyard. So I kind of went out of the front door, kind of went around to the garage, went through the garage, and it went to a mud room. And I'm like, great, how do I get out? Okay, so I had to go upstairs and into the kitchen exit and get to his backyard. And it was just me. I'm like, so I go and find the hose, and the neighbor, his neighbor from across the street this way, was back there. And he goes, turn the hose on, turn the hose on. So I grabbed the hose and turned the hose on, started putting the back fence out, started putting up the behind the shed. And then the hose had a kink, so I said, "Kink, kink." And so we got the kink, and I was running and racing with the water, and then the water died again. And then the owner, he said, "Here." So I gave him the hose. He started putting it out. So then I went around the side to the other side of the house, and it was on fire too. And he had a chicken coop in the middle and the dogs in the back in a little kennel, and everything was like hog fence and rabbit panel and cattle panel and just wired together. It was like a hodgepodge mess. Like he was like a literal hillbilly. Like, respect, right? Because that's me, but I kind of like to have it like a little bit looking better because my wife likes things pretty. Anyway, so yeah, he did not have someone to keep him pretty, and it was a big mess, and there was just chaotic everything around. Everything was on fire, except for the chickens. They weren't on fire yet. So I grabbed the shovel, started moving the pine straw and the pine needles and the leaves away. Started making a little burn, right? A fire break, so that it wouldn't catch. But the tree was going to catch on fire. I couldn't do that. But anyway, by this time, I was out of breath. I was so out of breath, and the fire department shows up. I kept asking, "Have you called the fire department?" Anyway, so the neighbor and I kept working on the shed, and he just got out of the army. He never took fire brigade training, so he just walks up to the shed door and opens the shed door, and like black smoke just hits him in the face. And like we talked about it later, I said, you don't know what backdraft is?" So I kind of had to like give him a little bit of like help. Like I said, "You're never going to go through this again, but never do that. And then just stay low and never touch a door handle unless you touch it with the back of your hand first." Anyway, so the shed's still on fire, the fence is still on fire, the other side of the fence is on fire, the yard's on fire, and firemen are there on the other side of the street. They went back through the backyard to get to it, which is pretty smart. Um, and then fire departments show up on the right side of the street, in the front of the house, and anyway, so they were all there, and the cop was there, and I think the cop wrote him a ticket for falling asleep. He goes, "Any idea how it started?" I said, "Yeah, I broke into his house and woke him up. So he was asleep on the fire." And one of the guys in the neighborhood said, "Well, that's rather bad form." I said, "You could say it that way, sure, but oh man." So anyway, I decompressed, and I'm sopping wet from sweat. And I actually have a shirt on that says "Campfire is my cologne," which is hilarious. But that wasn't a campfire. That was a house fire. That was a shed fire. And it stunk. And it stinks. And I stink. Anyway. Oh. Adrenaline crash. So now I think I'm gonna play Age of Empires 3 and drink some Diet Mountain Dew. But like I was in the front of the house chopping down trees this morning and sawing off stumps and like literally chopped down 2 trees that were like 30 feet high. So I was already tired, you know? But yeah. Fire safety, fire awareness. Make sure that when you have a fire, you do your best to contain your fire and have a plan for if it catches and goes out of control. Right? Never, ever, ever walk away from an active fire. I love my wife more than anything, more than anyone, and I can't express enough how deeply concerned I am for some people that don't understand fire safety, fire protocols. Yeah, it's so crazy out there, kids. So be safe. And what is that, ash? I think I have ash on my head. I'm gonna go take a shower. Have a good day. Have a better day than my neighbor.